And in maintaining the conference theme, the vital importance of being part of a great winning team was emphasised in a memorable manner by the former Liverpool and England captain, the irrepressible Emlyn Hughes.
But what Shanks had was a dream to make that team the #1 in Europe. And what happened, it took him from 1962 to 1977, 15 years to become the #1 in Europe when we first won the European Cup. And I was fortunate enough, as a captain, to have gone and picked the first European Cup up that Liverpool won. Now, Shanks did everything correctly. He built the basics. Now, some of the other lunatics that were in charge of the football clubs in 1962, they built outwards. And they had a basis of nothing, you know, so you're bound to topple over. Shanks built that way and then went up from there. And these idiots in charge of football clubs, they would take their commodities, which were their players, which were the workforce of AWD, they would take them and they'd say, what were we doing this week? No, run them on the moors. They haven't been the moors for months. Next week, we'll run them on the roads. This week, you know, they've not been the roads for ages. Third week, I know what we'll do with them this week. Run them on the sand. They've not been in the sand for ages. Shanks used to say, sand. The next time they build a sandhill on a pitch, we'll bloody train on one. But what he was trying to say was that there is no substitute for hard work, no fuss, no nonsense, doing your job well. And as I say, everything that I've heard from AWD, from David Jr. and Senior, from Ron, is about hard work, getting the basics right. But within that structure, Brian, there's got to be room for individuals. Got to be. I mean, we had individuals at Liverpool, Kevin Keegan, Steve Highway, great players. But within that team pattern, outside of that team pattern, they could go and do whatever they wanted on the field, but they needed help from other members of the company. From AWD, they needed help from Liverpool football players who weren't in their class as far as spectacular goals were concerned, or great movements, or dribbling, or whatever. They weren't in the class, but they needed us to help to create that opening to get a contract, to get another business meeting. They needed us. And great individuals, terrific people. And another individual we had at the club was a lad called Big Larry Lloyd. Now, Big Lloyd,
yeah.
Big Lloyd, a Bristol lad, and he used to, I'm all right, you know, a cracking lad, but not the brightest in the world, he wasn't. So, my favourite story about Lloyd is we're playing Birmingham one day, 1966-67, and they had a player playing for him called Trevor Francis. Now, Trevor Francis could fly, he could catch pigeons, honestly, he was the quickest thing. When he was a kid, he was the quickest thing I've ever seen. So we're winding Big Lloydie up before the game. Lloydie's marking him. So we're winding Lloydie up. Hey, Lloydie, he's quick. He's quick. No, I mean, this fella is really quick, Lloydie. He can't move without his legs. We start the game. We started the game, honestly. The referee was a lad called Clive Thomas, Clive the Book. He loved to book people. He wasn't happy unless he booked 4. We start the game. This is the quickest booking I have ever seen in my life. Birmingham had this kick-off that what they did, Trevor Francis went out to the right wing, lad kicked it to the centre forward, they lumped it forward and Trevor set off. Big Lloydie goes out to the full-back position, waiting for Trevor. Kicked it out, lumped it forward. Big Lloydie, honest, I've never seen a tackle like it in my life. From 20 yards, he jumped at him. Clive, the game's only been going half a second. Clive runs over, he's got his book out. He's starting to write Lloydie's name down. He says, Jesus Christ, Lloydie. He said, that was late. Lloydie said, I got there as quick as I could. No.
Isn't it true that Bill Shankly was once being interviewed by a very young reporter and he said, Mr. Shankly, do you think that football is a matter of life and death? And Bill Shankly said, oh, no, it's more serious than that.
He once said, Shanks, great man, honestly, he once turned around and said, I want to be the fittest man ever to die. Shanks, great man, great enthusiasm, and everything I've heard over the past 2 days smacks of Bill Shankly, smacks of Liverpool Football Club when they were starting off from very, very basic beginnings. Now, Shanks's great password was enthusiasm. And if I had a million failings, Brian, lots and lots of failings, but one thing I did have was a load of enthusiasm. And unless you've got that as a worker, as a football player, as a person, unless you've got enthusiasm, then you've got very, very little. Enthusiasm to get up every morning to go out to work. Now, if you don't want to go to work, don't go. Because you won't do anybody favours. You certainly won't do yourself any favours. You won't do your workmates any favours. You might let them down at a vital point where you might lose a business contract, or you might even hurt somebody at work. If you're not going in to enjoy your work, then don't go in. Shanks used to say, there's a lot of men in the cemetery who'd love to be where you are. And when you think about it, he's right. Because enthusiasm and enjoyment of what you're doing, of what you're paid for, is the greatest thing in life.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Emlyn Hughes.
Thank you.
Thanks. You're a lovely lad.
My pleasure.
Take care.
Thank you, Ron.
It was Sales and Marketing Director Peter Ragg who then gave a dynamic and practical outline of the policies and strategies that will steer AWD successfully into the future.
Our policy is to manufacture a superb range of trucks and buses, all aimed at carefully identified requirements of the following specific markets: military worldwide, on off-road worldwide, on highway Europe, on highway export. The name of AWD will establish itself in a new position, and indeed a stronger position for world markets. But one thing is for sure: we cannot be now as Bedford was yesterday. We can't be a manufacturer